The teaser finally answered one question and immediately created 10 more. We now know that this upcoming chapter is not about a single villain rising from the shadows. It is about a coordinated assault, a storm of enemies hitting our web slinger from every direction at once. But the moment I finished watching the footage, one thought refused to leave my mind. Who is organizing all of this? Because chaos on this scale never happens naturally. Someone is pulling strings. Someone is turning rivals, mercenaries, criminals, and monsters into pieces on the same board. And while everyone is focused on the visible threats, I think the trailer is quietly pointing us toward the real enemy. What makes this even more disturbing is the condition of our hero. He is not simply getting beaten. He is changing. His body looks unstable. His instincts seem corrupted. And every glimpse of his mutation feels less like an illness and more like a forced evolution. Have you noticed that? It almost feels as if somebody is experimenting on him from a distance. Not trying to kill him, but trying to transform him into something else entirely. That detail becomes incredibly important once we start connecting the clues hidden throughout the teaser. For months, fans have been debating the mysterious voice speaking throughout the footage. The dialogue focuses on arachnid evolution, multiple lives, and the idea that transformation is inevitable. Most people immediately jump toward familiar names from previous stories, but the more I listened, the less those theories made sense. The tone is not emotional. It is not personal. It sounds clinical, calculated, almost scientific. That is why I believe the trailer is hiding the live-action debut of Jackal. Casual audiences may not know him very well because he rarely operates on the front lines. He is not the kind of villain who crashes through walls or challenges heroes in public. He prefers laboratories, secrets, manipulation, and psychological warfare. In comic lore, Jackal is a brilliant geneticist obsessed with controlling life itself. Cloning, experimentation, and genetic engineering are his weapons. More importantly, he destroys people by attacking their minds before he attacks their bodies. When I compare that history with everything we are seeing in this teaser, the similarities become impossible for me to ignore. The deeper I looked, the more the entire movie started feeling like one giant Jackal operation. The first major clue comes from the lineup of enemies. In classic stories, Jackal does not attack directly. Instead, he weaponizes other people. He feeds them lies, twists their motivations, and points them towards Spider-Man. One of the earliest examples involves a brutal, skull-wearing vigilante who becomes convinced that the web slinger is responsible for terrible crimes. Sound familiar? That same vigilante appears poised to play a significant role here. And the parallels do not stop there. Once that conflict fails in the comics, larger forces enter the game. Criminal empires begin moving. Power struggles erupt, and powerful underworld figures attempt to seize control. The trailer seems packed with exactly that energy. Every faction appears to be moving simultaneously, as if an invisible hand is pushing them toward collision. What fascinates me is the precision. None of these threats feel random. They feel selected, curated, almost recruited. If one mastermind wanted to systematically break Spider-Man physically, emotionally, and psychologically, this is exactly how it would look. Every new enemy would not be an independent problem. They would simply be another stage in a carefully designed experiment. Then we arrive at one of the strongest pieces of evidence. In the source material, Jackal eventually employs a cybernetic scorpion-themed mercenary to carry out major operations. The new footage includes sequences that look remarkably similar to those comic confrontations. Now ask yourself a simple question. Where did that technology come from? Villains do not magically acquire advanced equipment overnight. Somebody funds them. Somebody upgrades them. Somebody gives them a reason to participate. A genetic mastermind with enormous scientific resources fits perfectly into that role. And after that comes another fascinating connection. The appearance of a spider-themed assassin mirrors imagery pulled directly from some of the most iconic comic covers associated with this era. The filmmakers have repeatedly promised a story that respects classic material, and this would be a clever way of doing exactly that. Instead of introducing unrelated villains, they could adapt an entire chain of interconnected conflicts from one storyline. Suddenly, the movie stops looking like a collection of random antagonists and starts looking like a coordinated campaign. The more pieces we add, the clearer the pattern becomes, and the harder it is to dismiss. But the most unsettling clue is not any villain. It is the strange body-hopping phenomenon shown in the teaser. We watch an unseen force move from one individual to another, taking control with frightening efficiency. Soldiers, civilians, ordinary people, all becoming unwilling puppets. Many viewers instantly assumed a telepath was responsible, but I am not convinced. Traditional telepaths influence minds. They do not usually jump through bodies like a spreading infection. That distinction matters. Because if we return to comic history, we find something far more interesting. Jackal once unleashed biological disasters tied to spider mutations and mass transformations. Suddenly, the footage begins to make sense through a completely different lens. What if the possession-like effect is not psychic at all? What if it is biological? Imagine a modified pathogen designed to hijack the nervous system. Instead of granting powers, it rewrites behavior. Every infected person becomes part of a network connected to a central intelligence. That would explain the body hopping, the coordinated actions, and the eerie loss of individuality. It would also create the perfect smokescreen, allowing everyone to blame the wrong threat while the true architect remains invisible. Now think about our hero's horrifying transformation. This is where the theory becomes genuinely terrifying. The trailer repeatedly emphasizes that something is happening inside him. His body is evolving beyond his control. His appearance becomes increasingly monstrous, and his reactions seem more animalistic with every glimpse. There is also that curious moment involving a beverage brand carrying a name connected to our suspected mastermind. Maybe it is a coincidence, maybe it is not. If a biological agent entered the city's commercial supply chain, thousands of people could be exposed without ever realizing it. For normal citizens, the result might be obedience and neurological corruption. But Spider-Man is not normal. His biology was altered long ago. Introducing a second genetic catalyst into that system could trigger unpredictable consequences. Instead of mind control, it could supercharge dormant traits. Enhanced senses might become overwhelming. Strength could escalate beyond safe limits. New limbs, new instincts, new mutations could emerge. Suddenly, his greatest gift becomes his greatest threat. And if he transforms into something feral and uncontrollable, every remaining hero, vigilante, and anti-hero would be forced into an uneasy alliance simply to stop him. What makes a theory like this even more compelling is the emotional motivation behind it. Great villains rarely see themselves as villains. In many versions of the lore, Jackal is driven by grief, obsession, and a refusal to accept loss. He becomes convinced that science can conquer death itself. That mindset could fit beautifully into a cinematic adaptation. Imagine a brilliant researcher who blames Spider-Man for a tragedy, directly or indirectly. Imagine years of resentment growing inside a mind capable of rewriting genetics. Eventually, the goal would stop being revenge. It would become correction. He would convince himself that humanity is flawed and must be improved. Spider-Man, with his already altered biology, would become the perfect test subject. This interpretation also opens fascinating possibilities for the future. If a citywide outbreak occurs, not every victim would necessarily return to normal. Residual mutations could remain. New heroes could emerge. New legacies could begin. In other words, the story would not merely conclude a chapter. It would quietly plant seeds for the next generation, expanding the universe without feeling forced or artificial. And finally, there is the mysterious underworld element. Rumors continue pointing toward the involvement of an ancient ninja organization obsessed with conquering death. At first glance, mystical assassins and genetic science seem completely unrelated. But when you look deeper, both pursue the exact same dream. They want to defeat mortality. One seeks supernatural resurrection. The other seeks scientific resurrection. That shared obsession creates a natural partnership. A hidden geneticist could provide cloning breakthroughs, cellular replication, and biological miracles. In return, a secretive criminal network could provide resources, influence, protection, and access to every corner of the city. Suddenly, everything connects. The gang wars, the mercenaries, the mutations, the outbreaks, the manipulation. Every thread leads back to a single architect standing behind the curtain. When I view the teaser through the lens of Jackal, every line of dialogue, every visual clue, every villain appearance, and every horrifying mutation snaps into place with frightening precision. If this prediction turns out to be correct, we may be looking at the most manipulative and psychologically dangerous Spider-Man villain ever brought to the screen. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and send your questions and theories in the comments section. This is Liam Harrison from MovieCast, thanking you for staying with me until the very end.